Park, the location of the activity to mark the King's birthday parade here on Montserrat. I'm retired Captain Peter W.A. White, OBE, and along with some of my colleagues in the commentary booth, we'll be bringing to you live commentary from Salem Park. As you can see from the video shots, those who are following us on the GIU YouTube channel, you can see that the parade, that people are getting themselves in the rightful place as we expect the official dignitary, Her Excellency the Acting Governor, to arrive here at 8 o'clock. This morning, the weather, just like any other place in Montserrat, is likely to get a bit warm, so we are hoping that that does not affect the troops on parade today. This broadcast is being brought to you live on Radio Montserrat and also live on the GIU YouTube channel. So if you have that link, you can follow us live and follow the activity going on here at Salem Park. Salem Park, for those of you who may not be aware, is in the village of Salem, and we have immediately east of us the Center Hills, and southeast of us we have the Soufriere Hills volcano. On the south we have Isles Bay Hill. On the west of us we have the village of Old Town and going back to the sea. On the north of us we have the commentary booth. We have the famous Jeddy's Bakery going back towards the north of the island. So I hope you get an idea as to where we are in Montserrat and what we are going on here. You can hear from the microphones on the field that the troops are now making their way to the parade grounds. And with them now taking over the spotlight, I will start working my way back to the commentary booth. What I'll say to you this morning, however, for this parade, we are keeping it local. We are unable to get any of the regional troops to join us on parade today. Music will be provided by a local team, and I'll explain that in due course. And all the persons on parade, including the auxiliary units, are all local. So that should make it for something interesting. As we see, the troops are now making their way on the field. The Royal Montserrat Defence Force is leading, followed by a contingent from the Royal Montserrat Police Service and two contingents of the Montserrat Secondary School Cadet Corps. So they're now coming onto the field and will take the spotlight of what is happening here today. Yes, we have a drum corps that's marching with them, and then when they come to the actual park, they will be supported by other musicians. And as I said, I will explain that in due course, but the focus is now the troops marching on. So things have begun as it relates to the troops officially. The actual official ceremony will begin with the arrival of the dignitaries in the order that is being laid out in the program. I'm here in the commentary booth, and with me, I'm delighted to have with me retired company quartermaster sergeant Alban Semper. And hopefully sometime later in the morning, we will have the journalists come and join us, Mr. James White Jr. But at this point, we're keeping it former military.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Captain White. And good morning to our listeners and viewers. I am Company Quartermaster Sergeant Semper, as Mr. White clearly said. And I am pleased and very delightful to be here this morning to assist him in some form of fashion in the commentary of this, the 2024 parade that commemorates His Majesty's the King 76th birthday here in Salem Park. It's a lovely day, and the sun is out, of course, as usual, and we hope to have a very splendid and well parade that is organized, and you can see as the troops march on to the parade square that they are meticulously dressed, looking sharp as usual, and from what I saw on Thursday, we are here for a very good and spectacular parade this morning.
Sounded good indeed, Quartermaster Sergeant. You sound as if you might be willing to even go back and give some service in due course. Yes, the troops, as you can see, those who are following us on YouTube are now taking up their positions. The drum corps this morning, I think it's now for me to say, is being provided by the Boys Brigade. The Boys Brigade, and then they will be accompanied by the Genesis Steel Orchestra for when we're playing the full music as per the program for the parade this morning. The parade marching on is being led by Company Sergeant Major Barry Carlisle Williams, and they are now brought onto what we refer to as the baseline, the main line from which the main parts of the parade will take place, and getting themselves in order. So, why are we here this morning? King Charles III, King of United Kingdom and the 14 other overseas territories. His full name, Charles Philip Arthur George. He acceded to the throne on the 8th of September 2022 upon the passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. His parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, who himself passed in 2021. King Charles was born on November 14th, 1948. So, he will be 76 years this year. He was born at Buckingham Palace, London, United Kingdom. We know he's married to Camilla, and they got married in 2005. Before that, he was married to Diana, Princess of Wales, from 1981 to 1996. His children, William, the Prince of Wales, and Prince Harry, the Duke of Essex, and about 5 grandchildren. And his siblings, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, or was the Duke of York, Princess Anne, Princess Royal, she is, and Prince Edward, the Earl of Essex. So, we are celebrating King Charles III's birthday. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see the troops are pretty much in position. And the Sergeant Major is making sure that everything is in order. And he has handed over the parade to the parade second in command, who is Lieutenant Darian Darrow. And Mr. Darrow has instructed the troops to get their dressings in order, and they said the open order, and most of the parade will be done with those on parade standing, should I say, the width of what we call open order. And that is logic, so that allows for things like the march past to move up and down the ranks without interrupting anything. So, Mr. Darrow is the second in command, the appointed second in command for the parade today. And he is now just waiting to do his part and then hand over to the actual parade commander, who is Captain Glenroy Foster. Captain Glenroy Foster is the parade commander for today. Right? And all this preparatory work, as I say, it's very important. And if you're not here, you're missing quite a bit. That's why we always try to encourage people who like to see the parading part of it to come early. Try and get here, at least quarter to the hour, because all the fancy dressing and moving around and getting in place is done in the earlier part of, before the official events. So what we're seeing now is that the platoon commanders, there are 4 units on parade today, so the platoon commanders will now be taking up their position. And I think it's, I can now say that the platoon commanders, we have Second Lieutenant Carmen Sita Jubri, who will be the officer in charge of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force unit. Then we have Inspector Matanaya Antoine, who is in charge of the police unit on parade today. Then we have Lieutenant Kelvin R. White, in charge of platoon number 3. That's the first unit of the Cadet Corps. And then we have Sergeant Devison Semper, who will be in charge of the second, mostly unarmed unit of the Montserrat Secondary School Cadet Corps.
And Captain White, is very important to say that Second Lieutenant Camisita Jubri, this is her first parade that she acts as a platoon commander.
Yes.
In the past, usually she is the ADC to
Her Excellency,
the governor.
Yes.
And so today she will be making her debut, which we are all looking forward to today.
Yes, yes, you do. And one of the source of concern for me is the sun is out in its full, should I say, splendor at this time. It's warming up here at Salem Park, and we do hope that that all the troops are well hydrated and prepared and ready to take on the challenge of being on parade like this. So the officers are doing their due, as we say, getting themselves directly in front of their unit, and will be awaiting instructions from the parade 2IC as to when they take up the actual position in front of their unit. This on its own is a sight to see. As I say, if you're here, you could see it. If you're watching us on the GIU, you'll see the activities that's taking place in the vicinity of the flag poles, where the officers are, the unit commanders are getting themselves in their rightful position. Okay, so joining us, coming in is the, I wouldn't want to refer to him as the ununiformed one, Mr. James White Jr. He's head of the broadcast unit here, and normally pull us together, give us okay instructions on what we need to do. So he's now joining us, and let me say good morning to you, James.
Good morning to you, both of you, Captain White, and of course, is it former Quartermaster Sergeant?
Yes.
Albron Semper. Got that right.
Okay. Yes. Make a note of it too.
So
put it in your notes.
Yes, I put it in my notes. and I'm so happy that you're here, that you're able to, just take the commentary forward.
Well, yes, as usual, yes. So the parade commander has now taken over. That's Captain Glenroy Foster. You're hearing his voice. So he's instructed the guards now to form up directly in front of the the officers in charge of the units to take up their position in front of the platoons. Again, if you're here and you're looking at us on TV, you'll be able to see the troops on parade, and then you'll see what's taking place, where the officers or the parade commanders are now slow marching of respect onto the square to take up their position in front of their respective platoons. All this is part of the preparatory work that will take place before the official arrival of the first official guest, which is the acting premier. Will be coming in on the parade square very soon. Yes. So on parade also, in the rear area of the parade, we have units, a small unit from the prison service, a unit from the fire and rescue service, a unit of the 1st Montserrat Girl Guides. I think that's the unit from the Montserrat Secondary School. And then we have a combination of brownies and rainbows. I will explain about that a bit later. But they are looking immaculate on parade this morning. What is regrettable, however, we do not have any unit of the young boys, no Boy Scouts. We don't have anyone from the Boys Brigade marching as such. But we make the best of what we have. Yes. Okay. So going on throughout the Commonwealth and most likely in all the overseas territories today, similar parades that are taking place around the Caribbean for the around the world, I should say, for the similar to mark the parade, the birthday parade of the King. Yeah. Yes. Right. So yes, And all these are taking place, we understand, in other parts of the British realm.
Yes, of course. You have islands like Anguilla, Bermuda, the British Indian Ocean territories, who also today celebrating the
Well, they're all celebrating, yes, the occasion of His Majesty's birthday. All right, so coming onto the field at this time, we just see the outrider that's leading the vehicle that is bringing the acting premier on compound, on the field. And yes, the acting premier, and he is being led by an outrider, and they're coming around, and this is where we, should I say, the official things start to fall in place. They will come and will be met or officially greeted by the Commissioner of Police and the commanding officer of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. They're coming right alongside us here at the commentary booth. I'm told that the Honourable Premier himself is off island. So the acting Premier, or the person carrying out the role as Premier today, is the Deputy.
Deputy, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Samuel Joseph.
Dr. the Honourable
Samuel Joseph. And his aide today is Acting Superintendent Chantel Huzzy. All right, so he's been greeted and met at the vehicle, and is now being escorted to the dais, where he will be greeted by the troops first coming to attention, and then a general salute supported by the musicians on parade today playing the first part of the territorial song. Yes.
So the Premier will take up his position on the saluting base, and the Munster flag will be unfurled at the same time, while the band will play a tune.
Well, we'll hear it.
Yes.
Yes, it's the first part of the territorial song. All right. So, over to the parade commander and the music. And there we had it. The first set of first part of the territorial song played by the musicians on parade, and I think it's probably a good time for me to explain the musical accompaniment that we're having here today. Music for the parade is provided by the Genesis Steel Orchestra, and they are supported by some drummers from the Methodist Boys Brigade Drum Corps. This is the second time that the Genesis Steel Orchestra is providing music for the parade, and of course they certainly bring a different flair to the event. We must say a special thanks to Stephen Elwin Skep, who is in charge of the Genesis Steel Orchestra, for being able to adapt to this call of duty and come and play here for us today. Well, it's also worth mentioning at this time that the motorcade for Her Excellency the Acting Governor is now coming on to the grounds, and while that is being done, the parade commanders are also getting the troops together in their rightful places. But let me announce here that the Antigua and Barbuda Police Service Band and the Antigua Defence Force Band are both unable to make it to Montserrat this time around, as they are all enforcement officers in Antigua are busy dealing with matters relating to the hosting of the International T20 Cricket World Cup. So they're very, very, very busy. As a matter of fact, if I may say, it is my understanding that they're even crying out for being short
Yes.
of
Yes,
officers to
that
get
is so.
everything done. But
And-
let's hope that all that ends well. That goes off
Yes.
ends well.
Yes.
Right.
I'm also told that the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force, they were supposed to be here as well. But we know that there are situations there with the crime situation.
Yes, they're busy,
and so on.
busy.
So they're busy.
We put it that way, yes.
Yes.
So we see the arrival of Her Excellency, the acting governor, Mrs. Lyndon Simpson, and Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson has now been escorted to his seat, and the commissioner of police and the commanding officer of the Defense Force have greeted Her Excellency the Governor. Her Excellency the Governor, ADC is none other than Captain Colin Ted Fergus. He's been assigned ADC duty for today's.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so very high-ranking officials. As we would have said before, normally this would have been done by Second Lieutenant Carmen Sita Jubri, but she's been put on parade to lead a unit, and one of the senior personnel is carrying out the duties of ADC this morning.
And this time, Her Excellency, Acting Governor, will take up her position on the saluting dais, and the Union Jack will be unfurled this time while the band will play the first 6 bars of the national anthem, God Save the King, will be played.
Yes. So, Mrs. Lyndon Simpson, as we say, is acting governor because the substantive governor is off island at this time. Right. So, over to the parade commander. All right, so the parade, we have just greeted Her Excellency. And the parade commander is now giving instructions to put the troops in order. Parade commander goes up to Her Excellency to report and invite her to inspect the parade. Let's try and see if we can hear him.
Good morning, Your Excellency. On parade this morning, we have one contingent from the Royal Montserrat Defence Force, one contingent from the Royal Montserrat Police Service, 2 contingents from the Montserrat Cadet Corps, with representatives from the Montserrat Fire and Rescue Service, His Majesty's Prison Service, the Girl Guides movement to include Girl Guides, Brownies, and Rainbows, all with musical accompaniment by the Genesis Steel Orchestra and a drum corps, all awaiting your inspection, ma'am.
All right, so the parade commander has just reported, giving an outline of the main troops on parade this morning. He has invited Her Excellency to come and inspect the parade, and she has accepted, so she's now proceeding to do that as they get themselves together. And she has also extended an invitation to the acting premier to join her in the inspection party. So that is also a courtesy that is extended by the governor, and in this case, the acting premier has taken up the invitation. So they're making the way to start the inspection of the first unit on parade, which is the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. Yes, the Royal Montserrat Defence Force, we know is a long-serving entity here on Montserrat. It is currently about 126 years old. Celebrated its 100th anniversary in 1998. In 1997, during the visit of His Royal Highness the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, he read the royal warrant bestowing royalty, I should say, or the title royal to the Montserrat Defence Force, causing it now to be known as the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. And that activity took place right here on a parade, right here on Salem grounds. So it's ironic that we're speaking about that today at a parade right here on the Salem ground. Former commanding officers of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force, we have Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Everton Ryan, and I'm grinning from ear to ear as announced in his in the King's birthday honors. We are told that he was awarded the British Empire Medal for his service to the military and to the disaster preparedness on Montserrat.
And well deserved, rightly
Indeed.
so.
And before him, we had Captain Horatio Truitt. For a short while also, we had Captain Roosevelt Roosevelt Jemmott, Captain John Skerritt, CBE, also held on for a while. Major Michael Jubry. And then, of course, for quite some time, we had Major Joseph Gabriel Lynch, a person who normally would be here with us in the commentary booth today, but he's unable to do so, and we hope he's keeping well. Prior to him, we had Major Theodore Bramble, and Major Bazzi, as you all remember, Major Vincent Brown. We had a Captain Jack Howes, Captain Cyril Taylor, Captain Grell, Lieutenant Maloney, and Lieutenant Pension, all dating right back to the start of the Defense Force. And I'm happy to say that the force is still continuing, sometimes, well, in this case, not as large as it used to be at the start of the volcanic crisis. But I think that's a reflection of the reduced population of the country.
Yes.
So, but service, the spirit of service still continues. So, the inspection party is making its way down the rear rank. They would have now completed the full inspection of both cadet units on parade, and they're just passing the rear rank of the police. Yes, and who now will come to at ease, and they are now inspecting the rear ranks of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. After which, the acting governor will then proceed to the auxiliary troops on parade. And as I said, we have a small unit from the Fire and Rescue Service, and we have a unit, representatives, I'll say, from the Prison Service, and so Her Excellency is making her way down those ranks. Again, I am really, really pleased to see the musical accompaniment being provided by the Genesis Steel Orchestra and supported by the drum corps of the Boys Brigade. I wouldn't say we're keeping it local. What we're announcing it is local, all local this time around.
Indeed, yes.
I know it is not, not going on well with our colleagues who normally come across from Antigua and St. Kitts. They have been calling and calling and calling, but their command has made it clear they would not be able to do that simply because of commitments in their respective countries. Okay, so be that as it may, the King's Birthday Parade is going on here at Salem Park, and we are doing our best to keep up with what we are accustomed to. What I'll say, however, is that sometime before the parade, in 2015, the parade was officially moved from Saturday to the public holiday Monday. And this lasted up to 2019. And with that, we were able to get a large representation from the Adventist Pathfinders who would come and parade with us on public holiday Monday. Today is a Saturday, it's their Sabbath, so they have other commitments church-wise, so they are unable to parade with us here on a Saturday morning. In 2020, there was no parade because of the prevalence of the coronavirus on Montserrat and, of course, and around the world. In 2021, there was a scaled-down version of the parade, which was held on the second Saturday of June at the time, because it was Her Majesty the Queen at the time. Things began to return to normal in 2022 with the Grand Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And then 2023, last year, we had the first parade in honor of the King's birthday, right? And this is what we're doing here today. So, Her Excellency would have inspected all the auxiliary troops, and she's taking the time now to come to speak to those providing musical accompaniment. So you'll hear the music stop for a while, and of course this is the formal opportunity for her to express her thanks and gratitude on behalf of the state for these young people to come together to provide musical accompaniment for this national occasion. And I don't take that for granted. It's whenever there's an opportunity to say thanks, it should be, should be utilized. So she has done that, and so she's now moving her way back to the saluting dais. And again, as I said to you, it's getting warm. It is warm here at Salem Park. The sun is. We were hoping that we would have had some cloud cover to keep off some of the heat, and it's the hot time of the year all around the world. We know that. We know what's going on in the news. So we commend everyone who's on parade today, in particular the young children, the brownies and
the rainbows.
Captain White, so let me ask you, since you have some very good memory to if you could remember some of the places that we previously have parade in the past.
Well, going back before the volcanic crisis, Sturge Park was the prominent place.
Yes,
Sturge
yes,
Park.
you could-
And I,
can't forget that, Sturge Park.
on occasion, I look at photos of myself, parading on the Sturge Park, and reflect on what it was back then. Let me yield to the parade commander at this time, who is appearing again before Her Excellency the Governor. Let me hear let's see what he has to say.
The troops, ma'am. And I hope that you found everything in order. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. I hereby seek your permission to carry on the parade with the march past of all troops on parade in slow and quick time, followed by the unfurling of the Royal Standard and the presentation of awards to qualifying personnel. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so we're here for ourselves. He has sought permission to continue the parade, and Her Excellency has granted that permission. So he's now going to get things in order with the troops. So we are saying parade before Sturge Park, of course, and then of course, during the early part of the volcanic crisis, when there was evacuation, we moved to Gerald's Park, where the airport is currently located, and of course that was before it was built. And that, remember, there was a playing field there,
Yes.
so that we utilized that for a while, and then after works that commenced to build it into the heliport and so on, we moved to these Braids Primary School grounds, much smaller. So we were limited as to what we can do. And I can testify to that because I imagine all of them. Yes. And then on one or two occasions, it was moved to the Little Bay Park. But Little Bay Park, for this type of parade, was not really quite what we like. So we came here to Salem, and we have been here at Salem Park since. The parade commander has asked the armed guard on parade to retire. They'll be changing formation, and that is, they're forming themselves into close columns of platoons. So as part of themselves, they're getting ready.
To march.
Yes.
In slow and quick time.
In slow and quick time.
Yes.
There's a cadet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guard of honor. Advance. Vote. Turn.
Yes. So the
Guard of honor.
troops are getting themselves in close order, close columns of platoons, and
Dress.
they're now dressing in close columns of platoons. So which is important. As I said, they need to make sure that they're in order and get themselves properly dressed and properly aligned in preparation for the march past in slow and quick time. As I was just speaking about the issue of the heat here at Salem Park, and we see that there's one cadet who needs some assistance and has been taken off to recuperate. I remember back in my time, with the young cadets and so on, when this happened, soon as they recover, they find a way to get back on. Yes, because that's all they aim for, to come and parade and look good. Yes, so
they look forward to it because,
yes.
I mean, it's their time.
Yes,
to
it
really
is,
show.
and that's generally
Yes.
what it is. Yes, as I said, there is no two ways about it. It's a warm.
Yeah, it is warm.
It is warm
It is.
this morning, and we are hoping that we could go through this without much events like this. Right. So the parade, the parade is now formed in close columns of platoon, and the first order is that they'll be marching past in slow time. So the unit sergeants are giving instructions to the respective parade, to the respective unit, making sure that they're straight and that they're in order. And they the sergeants take up position at the back of each unit, and the platoon officer will stand in front to lead.
Shoulder. Arms. Parade will march fast in slow and quick time. Guard of honor by the left. Slow march.
Yes, so there we see the troops now moving off, and as I said, the heat of the morning is affecting a few persons, and we need to make sure that all is well. Yes, so they're moving now on the should I say, the western side of the park, of the parade grounds, I'll say, and they'll be going around and then coming down in front of the acting governor to give the salute in slow time. But one of the good things about this little aspect here, the fact that they're moving, it helps.
Yes, it helps.
The circulation, yes. Keeps things spirited to stay in the body. We're moving around. All right, so here we are. Yeah.
The trick is when you're in the sun on a parade, you move around your toes in the boats and wiggle your knees so that the blood could circulate, and you feel much better. And but we always encourage that persons drink a lot of water to stay hydrated. But sometimes they're so anxious to come on parade, they forget to drink or eat something in the morning, and this might cause some dizziness on the parade square.
Right. So the flags flying on the parade square as we speak is the Montserrat flag and the Union Jack. And the troops are now slow marching to give the formal salute to the representative of His Majesty the King. On this occasion, the representative is the acting governor, Miss Lindell Simpson. She is now looking at the troops taking their position, and then they will come down in front of her, and at times she will step up on the saluting dais to take the salute as each unit passes her, first in slow time.
Yes.
Appropriate music being played by the steel orchestra, supported by the drums, something that you could certainly slow march to.
Yes.
Yes, in time like
so
this.
true.
Yes.
I have to give credit to the drumming
yes,
team there as well.
Yes. Okay, so Mrs. Lindell Simpson, the Deputy Governor of Montserrat, is acting governor, and His Majesty's representative on parade here today. Mrs. Simpson was appointed acting governor of Montserrat in December 2016 and was substantively confirmed in the post in 1st of January 2018, and she's still carrying out those duties. The unit of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force is now passing her and giving her the eyes right. So, the substantive governor of Montserrat is, the present governor is Mrs. Sarah Tucker. She took up office in April 2022. Before her, we had Governor Andrew Pierce. Then we had Elizabeth Carrier, Mr. Adrian Davis, Peter Waterworth, Mrs. Deborah Barnes-Jones, Mr. Anthony J. Longwig, Mr. A.J. Abbott, Mr. Frank Savage, who was the governor actually at the start of the volcanic crisis, and had gone through quite a bit coordinating the whole issue of evacuation and so on. Yes. Then before him we had Mr. David Taylor. Christopher Turner was the one who was here for Hurricane Hugo. Yes. The governor again when we had to deal with quite a bit of natural disaster. Then we had Governor Watson, Governor Dale, and Governor Thompson. Dating back, going back there. And so here we are today. As I said, our acting governor, Mrs. Lindell Simpson, has just taken the salute from the unit from the Royal Montserrat Police Service. Coming up in front of her, it will be the first unit of the Montserrat Secondary School Cadet Corps. That unit is led by Lieutenant Kelvin White. The troops are now going around the field. They have just taken form, and they'll be coming down to repeat what they just did, but this time they'll be doing it in quick time. All right? So let me say a word then about our colleagues in the Royal Montserrat Police Service. The Royal Montserrat Police Service started back in 1967 after what was then the disbanding of the Leeward Islands Police Service. So after that, each island in the Leeward Islands formed their own police service. Yeah. After that, after the retirement of Commissioner Steve Foster around March in 2023, we have been able to benefit from mutual support from police services in the UK and other overseas territories, while efforts are on the way to find a permanent appointment as Commissioner of Police here on Montserrat. Some of the interim Commissioner of Police that we have had since March to now, we had Dr. Nicholas Kavanagh, who was the one who took over from Mr. Foster. Then we had Deputy Commissioner of Police Charles Thompson, who will act as required when the substantive commissioner is away. Then we had an appointment of a Mr. Robin Hall. And then after him, we had a Miss Pam Trevelyan from the BVI Police Service. I think she would have acted about twice
Yeah.
in the interim as well. We had a Mr. Roger Williams, a serving officer of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, who came over for a short while as well. And Mr. Sean Troy Pereira. Then we had a Mr. Alexander Enrilis from Gibraltar as part of the mutual support program. He came over for a short while. And then since May to now, we have a Mr. Mark Keith Payne. He's a former UK commander of West Midlands, commander of West Midlands Region Counter-Terrorism Unit. And he's currently the serving commissioner.
Yes.
And again, as I said to you, as efforts are underway to get a permanent person in place to take up the post as commissioner. All the armed guard are now back, we say, on the original baseline, slow marching, while the auxiliary troops have now all turned to the right. And they're preparing for the instructions from the parade commander to change from slow time to quick time. Let's hear him.
Hey, right, into, quick, time. Quick, march.
All right, so the troops have now changed from slow time to quick time, and they're marching down, as I said to you, on what we refer to as the baseline. But you will note that all the other auxiliary troops on parade have started getting in motion.
Yes.
By marking time.
That helps.
Certainly, yes.
Yes, the circulation.
And this is something that they all look forward to.
Oh, yes.
Their part in the
yes.
march past.
And of course, for the quick march, Mr. White, the music is quite appropriate.
Yes. I just wanted to let it play for a while so the listening audience can hear the music being played, and quite appropriate, I must say. All right, so the troops are now coming down in quick time, and of course led by the parade commander, Captain Gilroy Foster, and the unit of the Montserrat Defence Force. They're coming down in front of Her Excellency the Acting Governor to give her salute while they are marching in quick time. And let me just say, now we're talking about music. Music is such an important activity, ingredient to this particular type of event.
Yes.
You cannot do any proper marching without music. I am pleased to see or to hear Her Excellency the Governor had announced some planned training for musicians on Montserrat during the summer. I think she's working with, and her husband works along with, the Small Beginnings music program that is run by Herman Cupid Francis. And they'll be putting on a summer school for music. And they'll be getting some support from the Channel Islands, the island of Guernsey, the Guernsey Music Society, I think it is. And Mr. Tim Wright will be coming over with two other persons to conduct some music training. And, I just say,
Very important.
to encourage as much persons who are allowed to participate to please participate, because we want to really restart our full local marching band.
Yes.
It is important that we get that. I know I made that plea a few years ago, and we were fortunate enough to get some instrument donated under the Small Capital Asset Fund, and that was given through the Montserrat Defence Force to get a community band together. And then the COVID pandemic came in and put a stop to it.
Yeah.
So now it's just to regroup and hopefully try and get that program going again.
There were also some donations given as
yes,
well.
Yes. So again, Mr. Herman Francis is an ardent, what should I say, practitioner in teaching music in Montserrat, and we need to give him as much support. I know he was recognized, I think, with a MBE, I think it was, from Her Majesty the Queen, and when he was a teacher, and he still continues to do this in his own time. Right, so we have the troops marching back onto the baseline after they would have marched past. Here we have the Girl Guides marching, coming up there and giving their salute. It's important, and I want to say something about the Girl Guides and the Brownies. On parade today we have the St. Augustine the St. Augustine unit, 4th Montserrat Brownies, led by Miss Anna Johnson. Then we have the Lookout 3rd Montserrat Brownies. We have the Rainbows, led by Miss Shanice Moore and Miss Tabiana Truitt. Then we have the secondary school guides. I should have maybe mentioned them first because they're the adults in front.
Yes.
And they're led by Dr. Tiffany Skerritt. And this is the sort of thing we really want to promote. And, of course, encouraging young men in our community to participate by getting the Boys Brigade and the Scouts together. And then we have the St. Peter's First Montserrat Brownies as well. They all mingle all together, marching today. And the Brownies are being led by the actual commissioner of the Girl Guides movement, Mrs. Katrina Darre. She, even though she has a seat secured for her under the tent, she chose to be with the young girls on parade this morning, and I commend of that.
Yeah.
We must also commend Miss Geraldine Mason, a long-serving Girl Guide volunteer, and even though she would have retired once or twice, she still see the need to come out and serve and assist the young lady. Yes,
once or twice.
Yes. And then we have Miss Marcia Jeffers, who worked with the St. Peter's group. We have Miss Nakita Braid and others who work primarily with the Girl Guides as well. And just recall the main activities that I know they have been involved in so far for the year. Yeah. I see them at church during the Thinking Day. That's the international day celebrated by Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. And they also had a training camp for the Girl Guides a few weeks ago. And here they are today in full numbers on parade.
On parade
right.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody is now back in place.
Left, turn.
Parade commander has now brought them back to the line and will dress them.
Right. Dress.
I know this is a sight to see, especially if you're watching it on the YouTube channel. You have a nice overview that's been provided to you by the Government Information Unit drone. As I said to you, if you're not seeing it, you're missing quite a lot because it's not everything we can explain, to the benefit of those who are just listening alone. But it's really looking nice here today on Salem Park, and I'm just hoping that we could continue without anything else under the heat of the sun this morning. So the units are being dressed by the company Sergeant Major, and everybody has been instructed now to face front. Let's hear the parade commander again. Yes, the first aiders are keeping themselves busy this morning and keeping a good eye, and that is good. Just make sure that any threat or any indication of anybody not feeling well, they're certainly on it and putting themselves in a position to address it. So what we have here, now the march past is now completed. We are now moving towards the part where we're going to unfurl the royal standard. And when
Royal salute. Present arms.
And this is the present arms for the unfurling of the royal standard, and it will be the full national anthem that's played. During this time, the royal standard will be unfurled, and all other flags on parade will be lowered, to include the Montserrat flag and the Union Jack. And that Her Excellency the Governor will come down after the saluting dais and face the flag. So this is where we're paying formal tribute to His Majesty the King, represented here today on the flagpole by the royal standard. And the royal standard has been unfurled, and the full anthem, as we have heard, played by the Genesis Steel Orchestra. Now, we're moving in, continue with the formal saluting issue, where the troops will be prepared to fire, should I say? Yes, fire feu de joie as part of the respect. So the parade commander will be giving that instruction. In the meantime, I wish to mention that the parade commander, Mr. Glenroy Foster, is sounding quite good out there. Remind me of when I was young. Those were the days.
What are you saying?
Yes.
What are you saying?
I was just saying, memories. All right. So the armed guard, and in particular the defense force and the police, who normally parade with bayonets, have been asked to remove the bayonets, and they're doing so. And that's, of course, in preparation.
Will fire. Officers, take post.
Okay, and as is required, those who are firing the field joie, we are required to even give more space in between.
More space,
right?
Yes.
Right. So, and that is useful. You'll see that if you're following us or you're looking at what's going on the drone, you will see that they're even at a wider opening, as we'll say, than normal, and that is for safety.
That's right.
Commence!
And there we have the first volley of the Feu de Joie, after which the first 6 bars of the national anthem has been played by the steel orchestra.
Yes.
Right? So the parade
Reload!
has instructed the armed guard to reload again. And for this, in preparation for the second volley.
Present! Commence!
And there we have the second volley, and the second half of the national anthem is being played. Then we'll be preparing for the third volley.
Reload!
Yes, so they've been asked to reload,
Present!
and they're now up again for the third volley.
Commence!
And this time the full national anthem is being played, or will be played, I should say. Yeah. Again, you will note the only flag flying is the royal standard.
Unload!
Right, so the armed guards unload, so that's the 3 volleys that would have been expended in honor of His Majesty the King
Guard of honor!
birthday. The guard of honor will now be brought back to
Order!
their usual
Arms!
stance. They will be given the close order and so on. And I know it's trying time at this time. I'm just mindful of the heat, and so that anytime troops are asked to move, they should take the opportunity to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So the Private Command is getting the troops back to where they should be or what they should be doing at this time, and then he will prepare the troops to give 3 cheers to His Majesty in the military way, as we say. While all this is happening, all the guests on parade attending still remain standing, while the royal standard is unfurled, and that's in honor of respect. And the program points that out. Yes.
The respect also looks at you removing your headdress.
Yes. In so if you look around, you'll see on the tent and in the pavilion, the people are standing.
Yes.
For this specific part of the parade, where we had them. Where we had the troops firing the Feu de Joie, and they will now also be giving the cheers to His Majesty the King.
Right. Will remove headdress. Remove. Headdress. Rain. Shun. 3 cheers for His Majesty the King. Hip, hip, hip. Hooray. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip. Rain will replace headdress. Replace headdress.
Right. So there we see again another part of our showing appreciation to the right. And I want to comment here that we have been doing that from since for quite some time. And we were last year at the King's coronation, which took place on Saturday, the 6th of May, 2023, at Westminster Abbey. For us here in Montserrat, the Monday was a public holiday, and a delegation from Montserrat actually went to that event, and Montserrat, was well represented, and if you could recall, James, could you tell me, the Montserrat delegation at the time?
Right. So it was Her Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Premier. There were also 10 members of the RMDF, Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Ryan.
Okay, let's pause on that. So see, we did the advancing review order, meaning everybody on parade marched forward just a while ago, 14 paces and halt, and we are now doing the final salute to the Royal Standard, and it is now being lowered.
Yes.
It is after this that everybody will sit. So this brings, as I said, the formal respectful part to the actual parade. So the full anthem is being played, and as the Royal Standard is being lowered. Right, and now that the Royal Standard is lowered, the other two flags are unfurled, which is the Montserrat flag and the Union Jack. Right? Right. So you're telling me about the delegation to
Right. So I stopped at Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Ryan, Captain Colin Fergus, Officer Cadet Carmen Sita Jubri.
She was Officer Cadet at the time.
At that time.
Yes, she's now second lieutenant.
Then we have Barry Carlisle Williams. You know him as Pico. Sergeant Devison Semper, Sergeant Melvin Lindsay, Corporal Oswald West, Acting Corporal at the time, Corey Cameron, Acting Lance Corporal at the time, Alison Richards, and Princess Hickson. Okay, so let's go over to the microphone on the for the awards. Yes. Miss Fiona Alexander Smith is doing the announcing.
Efficiency decoration. Captain Glenroy Wendell Foster joined the Royal Montserrat Defence Force on 27th November 2011 from the ranks of the Montserrat Secondary School Cadet Corps and enlisted in the Royal Montserrat Defence Force Officers Corps. He completed 12 years of qualifying efficient service on 27th November 2023. For a total of 12 years of service in the RMDF. Captain Glenroy W. Foster is hereby awarded the Efficiency Decoration. Captain Glenroy Wendell Foster.
We see his picture there, and that's the parade commander himself, who will be going up to get his award for 12 years as a commissioned officer. And I tell you a secret here. Nothing, you join the Defence Force, for example, and you reach 11 years or 10 years as a non-commissioned officer or something. Then you get promoted to officer. You would not entitled to the efficiency decoration that the usual troops will get. So you have to start again to do your 12 years as a commissioned officer. And that's what he's getting. 12 years. That doesn't mean he's in the force for 12 years. He's far more than that. It's just that his service, he got moved into the commissioned area and had to restart. Yes, so that's the citation read there for us by Mrs. Fiona Alexander. She's the one who will be reading the citation. It's a very proud moment for Captain Glenroy Foster, the parade commander today, who has been given his award.
And
we
well deserved, of course. He hard-working captain, he likes what he does very much, and he's very meticulous in what he does.
A member of the organizing committee for this event. All right, let's hear.
Clasp to the Efficiency Medal. Corporal Oswald Joseph Titus West joined the Royal Montserrat Defence Force on 27th February 2001 from the ranks of the Montserrat Secondary School Cadet Corps. He was awarded the Efficiency Medal in 2012 for having completed 12 years of qualifying service through both organizations. He was awarded the first clasp having completed a further 6 years of efficient service and received this in 2022 due to the COVID-19 pandemic for a total of 18 years service. Now going to complete a further 6 years of service in the RMDF on 23rd June 2024, Corporal Oswald J.T. West has completed a total of 24 years and is therefore awarded the second clasp to the medal. Corporal Oswald Joseph Titus West.
All right, so this Corporal West has been called on, and he'll be going forward to get his award. And let's wait till we see it in the program, but again, the citation speaks for itself. Another member of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force been receiving award for service. And this is important to understand. It means a great deal to us here, because service in the Montserrat Defence Force is voluntary.
Absolutely
right?
correct.
Right.
And
voluntary.
my 12 plus years being there is something I always remember and cherish for my lifetime.
Yes, indeed.
Me too, who is a recipient of that 12 years service. I know how proud Mr. West and Mr. Foster might have felt today.
Yes, indeed. Again, some people may not know that. They would think that, like the other overseas territories with military units, in Montserrat is all volunteer. For many, many years, it was only Bermuda that had a full-time regiment, and that they were full-time, so they were paid, and Montserrat with a voluntary unit since it started over 126 years ago. Then
Colonial Prison Service Medal. Functional Head Oswald Joseph Titus West is awarded a Colonial Prison Service Medal as a reward for his long service and good conduct in His Majesty's prison. Mr. West commenced duties as a prison officer on 23rd July 2001 as a temporary officer before being appointed as a trainee prison officer, then confirmed as a prison officer on a permanent basis on 1st January 2010. He was later promoted to the position of Senior Prison Officer on 1st February 2012 on an acting basis before being confirmed to the position on 1st January 2013. Mr. West now holds the position of Functional Head after the position of Senior Prison Officer was upgraded on 21st August 2016 with the responsibility of custody. Functional Head West is hereby issued a Colonial Prison Service Medal for having completed over 22 years of unbroken qualifying service at His Majesty's Prison Service. Functional Head Oswald Joseph Titus West.
It is important to note that here we have the same person going up. I think this is the first time in the history of this parade we have one person going up twice for medal. His first presentation was for his service in the Defence Force as a volunteer. Mm-hmm. Now he's been awarded for his service in the prison service. That's his job. Okay? And of course, clearly he would have been doing something good there, I guess emanating from his training in the Defence Force. That he's able to take his good training to the prison service, and he's been awarded for his years of service. However, this is important to note, to the best of my knowledge, and until someone can contradict me, I do not know of any previous event where one person would have gone up twice on one parade for different awards.
That is true.
So he named it written in history.
When I heard it, I said, wow.
Yes.
And then we had a little juggling as to whether we should do it separately,
right.
or have it, the citations done all at once.
And listen to the award. Yes, excellent. Right, Prison Officer West and service in the Defence Force. And these are the sort of things that can assist you in life. Service.
Colonial Police Long Service Medal. Acting Superintendent Chantel Hussey is awarded a Long Service Medal as a reward for her long service and good conduct in the Royal Montserrat Police Service. She was enlisted in the service on the 22nd of July 2005 and is currently Acting Superintendent of Operations for the service. She was promoted to the rank of sergeant in April 2009, where she worked at the Beat and Patrol Department, Community Beat, and the Safeguarding Unit within the Criminal Investigations Department. She was further promoted to the rank of inspector on 14th February 2023, where she took responsibility for the Human Resources Department and the Safeguarding Unit. Acting Superintendent Huzzy is hereby issued a long service medal for having completed 18 years of unbroken qualifying service in the Royal Montserrat Police Service and Public Service of Montserrat. Acting Superintendent Chantel Huzzy.
Yep. Right. Shining one again here today, acting superintendent. She's the ADC today to the acting premier, and is being called on to be given her award. As I said, she as you would have heard from the citation, she has been moving up quite a bit in short order, and clearly that's a good demonstration. And I like the idea of us, rewarding. Being able to reward persons for service, good service, and I think this is something that we need to think about, even extending further in the wider public service. I mean, it serves as a good encouragement. All right. So, acting superintendent Huzzy, yes, and the cheers from the crowd are quite in order.
Sergeant Maxine Lee is awarded a long service medal as a reward for her long service and good conduct in the Royal Montserrat Police Service. She was enlisted in the service on the 22nd of July 2005 and is currently sergeant in charge of the Human Resources Department for the service. She was promoted to acting sergeant on 15th November 2021. She was promoted to the rank in April 2023. Sergeant Lee is hereby issued a long service medal for having completed 18 years of unbroken qualifying service in the Royal Montserrat Police Service and Public Service of Montserrat. Sergeant Maxine Lee.
Yes. So, again, Sergeant Lee, you would have heard from the citation, again, rewarded for her service. And she is actually coming from marching with the unit today on parade, carrying out the duties as sergeant, so which is good. And we really like this. I remember there was, as I said, some discussion as to whether we should be doing all of these awards here on parade. Yes. But as an individual, you would like to know it's done that way, so you have photograph and evidence to show in the future. It's not an easy task. We're getting close to the end of the parade, but it's just the awards that are taking place at this time. So we hoping that everybody holds up well, because once they start marching again, that would make things much easier. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So at Salem Park here, as I said, after coming here and started having parades here like this, we find that this is really the best area to have it. We have the size of the park is adequate. We march on, we can bring the vehicles on, we can get all the support units in place and keep everything intact. Yes. So,
as a reward for his long service and good conduct in the Royal Montserrat Police Service. He was enlisted in the service on the 6th of August 2005 and is currently the sergeant in charge of the Digital Forensics Unit for the service. He was promoted to the rank on 1st April 2015. Sergeant Hilton is hereby issued a long service medal for having completed 18 years of unbroken qualifying service in the Royal Montserrat Police Service and Public Service of Montserrat. Sergeant Micah Hilton.
Right, so he is presenting himself for his award. He didn't have to come from far. I think he's actually pursuing some studies as well. Yes, yes, so he's between work and studies and managing the IT matters related to the Royal Montserrat Police Service. Okay. Right. We're getting there. Just a few, two other persons. I think I see, based on the names that are there, but we let the announcers lead on that. And then we have the closing off. So it's going fairly well. The troops have been here on parade now for a little over an hour.
Firefighter Adrian Carty is awarded a Long Service Medal as a reward for his long service and good conduct in the Montserrat Fire and Rescue Service. He was enlisted in the Montserrat Fire and Rescue Service on 1st July 2005. His duties include firefighting, fire prevention to include building inspection, fire safety lectures, dispatching, and fire stores occasionally. Firefighter Carty has completed a total of 18 years of unbroken qualifying service and is hereby awarded the Colonial Long Service Medal. Firefighter Adrian Carty. Colonial Prison Service Medal. Functional Head Randolph Reynolds Diet is awarded a Colonial Prison Service Medal as a reward for his long service and good conduct in His Majesty's prison. Mr. Diet commenced duties as a prison officer on 18th October 2004 as a temporary officer before being confirmed as a prison officer on a permanent basis on 1st January 2010. He was later promoted to the position of functional head on 1st October 2020 on an acting basis before being confirmed to the post on 1st November 2022. Mr. Diet now holds the portfolio of functional head with responsibility of rehabilitation and reoffending. Functional Head Diet is hereby issued a Colonial Prison Service Medal for having completed over 20 years of unbroken qualifying service at His Majesty's Prison Service. Functional Head Randolph Reynolds Diet.
Okay. So he's the officer leading the prison unit today on parade.
Yes.
So he's coming from there, and of course he's giving a rousing applause. And again, and this is important because, for example, in the prison service is one of those areas where they're struggling to recruit officers, people to work there. And I like this promotion of the fact that, you know, people will see that, you know, after some years of service, you can get some national award or some recognition for your service. And I hope that this type of award will spur interest in persons working, you know, within that service.
Well, you would have knowledge because you were there before, so
yes,
you know what the situation is. Of course, your work is not done, you know.
Well, I'm doing my part now to promote the work. Yes, I know recently they had some adverts out. They're looking for persons to join the service. They are suffering in that sometimes they get members of the Montserrat Defence Force to go and assist them, especially in the night shift, or sometimes police officers who are off duty will go and assist. So, you know, if the person's out there looking for work and you believe that you can provide or you can assist in that area, you're encouraged to apply so that, you know, you can take up one of the vacant
Prison
posts.
Officer Irose Weeks is awarded a Colonial Prison Service Medal as a reward for her long service and good conduct in His Majesty's Prison Service. Ms. Weeks commenced duties as a prison officer on 1st February 2002 as a temporary officer before being confirmed as a prison officer on a permanent basis on 1st September 2008. Prison Officer Weeks is hereby issued a Colonial Prison Service Medal for having completed over 22 years of unbroken qualifying service at His Majesty's Prison Service. Prison Officer Irose Weeks.
All right, Prison Officer. I think that's it. Is it?
One who's not present. Should I go back and read that one? Here ends the medal presentation ceremony.
Okay. All right. So that's the formal presentation of medals to the uniform bodies in Montserrat, the prison service, the police service, the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. Well, generally for cadets, you're not in cadets that long.
I'd like to announce that Police Constable Leon Edwards is awarded a Long Service Medal as a reward for his long service and good conduct in the Royal Montserrat Police Service. He was enlisted in the service on the 15th of December 2003 and is currently attached to the safeguarding unit within the Criminal Investigations Department. Police Constable Edwards is hereby issued a Long Service Medal for having completed 18 years of unbroken qualifying service in the Royal Montserrat Police Service and Public Service of Montserrat.
Yes.
Police Constable Leon Edwards.
Okay. All right, so I think yes, that was the one that they knew.
They omitted that one, yes.
So it's appropriate to call it out here so that everybody knows that he, and because they would have seen his name on the program as well.
The program,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we that's now come to the end. We are now come to the end of the award part of this activity. So it's just now what we refer to as the wrap up, which is the final salute for the departure of Her Excellency the Acting Governor and the Acting Premier. The troops are now being brought to attention. It's good to have the legs moving again.
Yes.
After that little activity. And Her Excellency the Governor now steps on the dais. And the troops have been asked to present arms. It's a... So there we have the national anthem being played for Her Excellency the Acting Governor. And
Order!
That pretty much brings to an end her part in this activity. And I think normally after stepping down from the saluting dais, she'll come down and say a word or two to the parade commander. And then she will depart, and then we'll have the acting premier pretty much doing the same thing. And then the troops will prepare themselves for the march off. Okay, so here at Sailing Park, it's a warm day. Should I say hot? Hot. It is a hot.
Yes, a hot
day. And I really commend the troops for bearing with this, doing their best. But I know after practicing, for 4, 5, 6 days, you want to come and get it done. Yes, so I know I recall that as a young person, didn't want to go through all of this. I don't know what we can do. It's just that we could hope for something for a cloudy morning to make this a bit easier. But as we heard
in the future,
but as we are here, it's getting warmer and warmer and warmer as the years go by. So I don't know what really can be done. The other thought is to maybe have the parade even earlier.
I was thinking that having a little earlier.
But then you want the crowds to come out as well to see it.
Yes.
So it's that juggling.
Yeah.
Yes,
we'll have to
think
something.
about. Yes. All right. So Her Excellency the Governor is now making her way off the parade. She's passing through the tent where the official dignitaries are, and she's greeting them, and she may even be inviting some of them to the officers' mess right after.
Know.
Yes. I know this year I have not heard any formal announcement of what we call the usual grand garden party, as we will call it, or the King's birthday party. I assume that will be deferred to some other time because the substantive governor is not on island. But I know what we normally put on is a little activity right after the parade where the toast will be given and will show appreciation to representatives from each of the organizations here, and specially invited guests invited by the governor or by the commanding officer or commissioner of police.
Should I let the cat out of the bag to let you know that something like that is going to happen?
Well, right.
Yes.
All right. So
I was part of the planning
committee.
Yes,
indeed. All right. So there we have Her Excellency the Governor and Mr. Simpson now getting into the state, the conclaves, we'll call it.
Yes.
And and the ADC, Captain Fergus, is going off with them. And I think at some point they will meet, wherever it is, they will meet for refreshment,
Yes.
to come back to lead on matters relating to the official toast. Okay, so there we have it. Yes, so we still I've seen some people who are suffering from the effects of the heat,
Yeah.
and we're just hoping that we could,
Wrap
roll on
up.
a bit, just a few more minutes to this. We're now coming up where we'll see the departure of the acting premier. No, yes, the governor is leaving,
yes.
and so they're getting together to go through the part where we'll see the departure of the acting premier. Yes. So again, I mean, this is we look forward to this. This is the big parade here on Montserrat, being held here at Salem Park, and it is pretty much enjoyed by those who come to see it, and even more so, you can now watch it on the Government Information YouTube channel, where you could watch it live, or you could at some point see a repeat of it being played. Yes.
If you miss it,
yes,
you can view it a little later.
Yes, yes. Okay, and of course we benefit from technology and so on in this, where we have the GIU even using a drone, giving you some overhead photos of what's happening here.
Indeed.
And last year I learned for the first time, or when I see it for the first time, that they were able to. Let me yield to the music.
Hey! Soldier! Arms! Guard of honor! Order! Arms!
Right, so there we have the acting premier now coming off the parade square. Yes. All right. And he too is saying a few words to the parade commander, and thanking them, of course, thanking him, and thanking the troops for their service. All right. So we see the drum corps also getting themselves in place, because after the departure of the acting premier, we will have the marching off of the troops. Yes. Again, which is a obviously a welcome event, to keep the muscles moving. Right, so the acting premier is greeting those under the tent and making his way as the vehicle come up to pick him up. Right, so we have now gone through the entire parade, the formal part of the parade, and as I said, it's just the last official dignitary to leave, after which the troops will march off. We're working its way back to splendor. As I said, this year we had interest from the regional troops to come and participate in this, but they were not able to do so because of their commitments in their homeland.
That's right.
We normally would have had music provided by the Antigua Police Band or the Antigua Defense Force Band. We would have had a unit from the Antigua Defense Force coming to march, and then we would have had also a unit from the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force. And they too were looking at the possibility of their band. But again, home commitments take priority. So we were able to pull together and get some musical equipment, all local, I'll say, and keep it there. But we don't want to just always label it like that. We like the mutual support from our colleagues around us, and the willingness to come and participate in our parade, because they themselves no longer celebrate the Queen's, should I say, the sovereign birthday, as an official event. So we are happy that it's been kept alive here locally, and we encourage everybody to do their best and continue to do their best and to keep it alive and keep things moving. All right. So the acting premier is now being driven off the compound, the commissioner of police and the commanding officer of the defense force as they saluted them, and they are going, and the vehicle is now driving off. So right after that, we'll expect to see the troops being pulled together and move off. In one of the points I wish to highlight, however, and it's a point that during my research, I think is something to consider for Montserrat going forward. The issue of something Montserrat related, right? For example, my research has indicated to me that Anguilla has Anguilla Day. And it's a day when the troops march and give salute to the head of government and salute the Anguilla flag, and they give out national awards to Anguillans on that day. Then Bermuda also have Bermuda Day. Right, so the troops are just saluting the heads of units, which is the commissioner of police and the commanding officer of the defense force. Yes. Right, as a mark of respect. That is something that they introduced. That's something that should have been always part of any military parade. All right. So coming back to what I'm saying, Bermuda has Bermuda Day.
Yes. Last Monday,
May. And I think BVI has something. BVI, I think Territories Day, I think is what they call it. Right, and that too is early July. I think might be the 1st of July. Cayman Islands has
National.
Tell me.
Yes, National Heroes Day.
National Heroes Day. Right, and that is some part early in the year. What time?
January sometime.
January,
January,
right.
Yeah.
So are we getting the point so far? Right? Are we getting the point so far?
Yeah.
And then Turks and Caicos has National Heroes Day
as well,
where they celebrate their founding political leader, James McCartney.
Yeah.
So the only one left now is Montserrat. So Montserrat, what we celebrate so far is the Emancipation Day, but that's a regional activity, right? Which is first Monday in August Monday.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to advocate here, what is the likelihood of sometime in the future of us having a Montserrat Day? Right?
Rather interested, and that's something to be considered.
So you're making an appeal or a call?
I mean, there's also St. Patrick's Day, but St. Patrick's Day is not a Montserrat Day.
Yeah.
It's something we celebrate about an incident in Montserrat, but it is St. Patrick's connected. What I'm advocating is the consideration to be given to having a Montserrat Day, and maybe move the national awards from St. Patrick's Week activities to that day where we celebrate. It's something to think about. I'm not saying, the relevant authorities hopefully will look into it, see the viability of it, or maybe even convert an existing holiday, rename one, to National Montserrat National Day, Montserrat National Heroes Day, or something along that line. It's something to think about. And I don't know if what should I say, James, you're the media person here. It's something that we could put out some feelers and see what people's thoughts are on something like that.
I wanted you to continue the conversation because, no doubt that would be a news item.
Well, let me go further then to add to that.
Yes.
This year, for the first time, even the United Kingdom government saw the need to celebrate something relating to the overseas territories. And as I understand it, from 3rd of June, the first Monday in June, so 3rd of June this year, the UK government celebrated Territories Day, a day dedicated or focused on the overseas territories, where all the overseas territories flags are flown at Westminster. So if they can do it, and they see the need to recognize the overseas territories, why we as overseas territories ourselves don't see the need to recognize ourselves? That's most of the others do.
And individually.
Yes, individually. Yeah. So I'm coming to Montserrat. The others do, I just mentioned it. But, Montserrat, we need to think about that. Then we have the troops now marching off. And I think this is, again, a moment that we look forward to because they're now moving. And they're working their way. And one of the things, as it relates to parade, and this has happened from ever since, at the end of the parade, the troops would normally march through the village, that is, or the area to which the parade is held.
Yeah.
In Plymouth, it was a big thing, marching from Sturge Park.
Oh,
the first stop would be at the police headquarters. and then you march again right around the entire Plymouth.
Yes.
With your second stop at the Defence Force headquarters. And the key thing about that, people would line the streets to see the troops marching. Here we are in Salem. We are marching through the village. The troops will be marching to some part of the village.
Yeah, but interestingly, we usually go to the police station,
which is now closed.
Yes, because they're going over to the secondary school.
Right.
Montserrat Secondary School area. So the people in the village of Salem will get an opportunity
to see the troops marching through the village. This is an important aspect of what we do. And as I said, you as a young person, you save up all your energy for that because you want to make sure you march, through the village and make yourself look good. Yes. The challenging part, of course, about this march is going up from the park to Salem Centre.
Yes.
Once you're in Salem Centre, okay, it's free flowing to the MSS. But as you're seeing from the cameras, the troops are now all pretty much off the park and are marching to Salem Centre. But I want to come back to the issue of the proposed Montserrat Day. Names can vary, but something where we recognize the monstrosity of our community, James.
Yeah,
I think that is important, and we are hoping that at some point that is something to be given some thought and added to our national calendar. Here at Salem Park, we are. I'm not too sure if the radio commentary or the radio will stick with us as we go on.
Yes.
But the GIU will do its best because they're aiming to try to bring as much coverage of the marching all the way to the school or through the village as much as possible. And while they're doing that, we will also try and explain to you what we're seeing and what is happening, and to keep the commentary live. So, James.
Yes.
I am putting your name next to that point about promoting the issue of some Montserrat Day. Montserrat Day. Whatever it may be. Yes. It may have to go through some procedures and take it to cabinet and look at maybe which of the current days we could convert to that, or if they don't want to add a new one, or something like that. At the moment, I think next month in July, we'll be having the National Day of Prayer, when we will be remembering those who would have lost their lives in the volcanic crisis some years ago. And so that again is on its own something to celebrate. Or you never know, you may wish to formalize it and bring other things together with it to
I think what we need to I think the conversation needs to be had in terms of the Montserrat Day itself, and then when it goes to Parliament and whatever, they will look at other things that they can incorporate.
Yes.
So we're not bothered about that part right now. But the issue that we're trying to get over is the possibility of having a Montserrat Day.
And that I believe will go down well in the Montserrat community. It's just to make sure that proper discussion and consultation is held regarding that. But let me again, I want to go back to a point I alluded to earlier on, and it is being officially announced by Her Excellency the Governor. The Governor's Office congratulates Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Everton Ryan on his recognition by His Majesty the King on his birthday honours list today, Saturday the 15th of June 2024. Lieutenant Colonel is recognized with a British Empire Medal, BEM, for his service to disaster management and the Royal Montserrat Defence Force. And for that, we congratulate him. And I said, sometimes when you do things, you wonder if,
people recognize.
Right, but sometimes that's what sometimes the trouble and the hassle you get in what you do. You know. But looking back at it, and you could tell yourself that you would have done your best to serve your community. And what else can you do?
Yeah, and this whole idea of perseverance, it should be commended, because when I look at some of the personnel who've been in the uniform bodies for how many years, and it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy, and they've persevered over the years, and it's only fitting that they are awarded somewhere.
Okay, looking at those of us who are watching us on GIU YouTube channel, you'll see that the parade is now going through Salem Center. They're just crossing the road, going up by the Methodist Church, and now marching, going towards the Anglican Church on the road. And this is, I would say, more of a relaxing time for the troops themselves, where the various officers will give instructions to the unit to, carry out all sort of weapons drills and so on, and keep things active and display things on the streets so the members of the community can see and appreciate what is being done. Here back on the main street, at the park itself, the team is now disassembling some of the things that were up.
Are coming down.
Yes. For that. But we are here and we are keeping it because, in particular for those who are watching it on YouTube, so they could see what is happening on the street as the troops are marching through the Salem village. Yeah, so I want to come back again to the issue of award. I remember a few years ago too, we were pleased when we heard that Mrs. Kathy Greenaway,
yes,
Teacher Kato, also was awarded the BEM, primarily for her service during the Remembrance Day activities. She would come
the puppies,
and she would put herself in a strategic place and promote the selling of puppies.
I know that she's listening.
Yes, I know, and I can tell you she's one of those persons. When she offers you a puppy, when she finishes talking to you, you probably want to buy 10.
Yeah. True. Yes, or you give a donation.
Yes. So the Montserrat Legion, who benefited from the proceeds of the sales of the puppy, were able to get things done. They were able to send representatives to meetings from the fundraising and so on. And again, we commend that. I wish to also recognize he's not here with us today, our former commanding officer, Major Joseph Gabriel Lynch, MB, for his dedicated service on Montserrat. And I know if it wasn't something important keeping him away, he would be here in the commentary booth.
Yes.
Right? And I also wish to also commend or recognize he too would have been here in the commentary booth. My good colleague, Captain
John Skerritt.
John Richard Shervington Skerritt.
Listen,
CBE.
Go over that again.
Captain John Richard Shervington Skerritt, CBE. Right. He has the highest award from the Sovereign, which is the commander of the British Empire. Prior to him, to that was Dr. Howard Fergus. And we know that he passed away
26th April.
And 26th of April 2023. Yes, and of course that was a big thing for us because he was accorded a full military funeral with honors on Wednesday, the 12th of April, and also on that day was declared a public holiday and a day of mourning through Montserrat. Right? And of course that day all we had to do was just send a signal to Antigua, and the band came down, and we had an excellent marching parade, marching to escort Dr. Fergus to his final resting place from the church in Lookout down to the cemetery. I myself had to put on my marching shoes and do what I have to do, even though I'm retired from uniform. But we're going to do what we have to do. I truly believe in that.
But one of the things, you alluded to it while we were having the commentary earlier, the fact that we don't have the scouts and the so what do you think can be done in your own estimation?
Right, and sometimes it's good to sometimes hear from persons. I raised this with two persons I know who were heavily involved in scouts before, and one of the things they're saying, look, it's voluntary.
Yes,
they're not complaining about that. But sometimes some of the intricate things that they have to get involved in, to also open a bank account to put subscription, what they have to be doing and the number of personal identifications they have to provide to a bank nowadays to open an account and just to manage an account and to file returns to those who oversee friendly societies or organizations like that. And sometimes they recognize that that's the tedious work. Because you send your child or children to, whether it be boys brigade, girls brigade, or scouts, whoever is there, the leaders are responsible for your children. And then they arrange for make sure that they're looked after and get transport back home. So it's not, sometimes people just think you just have a uniform and you go. It's the time and dedication. I commend those who, for example, I remember the girls brigade, in particular young girls. You have young girls out for 2 hours in the evening. You got to make sure they get home safely, and the brownies and so on. So it's not easy.
It's not.
So sometimes I'm getting to a point that that is why we need to recognize people when they go above and beyond to volunteer their service. One of the ways that we used to recognize people nationally, not necessarily with awards, but tonight, the night after the parade, the governor's cocktail. This is where the governor would invite all heads of charitable organizations, all the heads of the units, and so on, of the various volunteers, the Red Cross, and people from all the charitable organizations, people who would have served, senior civil servants who would have retired, and so on. Senior civil servants, people would have served, retired police officers, and so on. Bring them all together once a year, and continue to say thanks to them on behalf of the sovereign and things like that. So we're hoping that with COVID and all the disruptions we would have had, that we could get back to something similar. And this also to include the heads of these youth organizations.
Yes.
Right? So, as I said, we do have a national award, separate from the award that are done in the name of the sovereign. We have the Montserrat Badge and Certificate of Honor that we can give to dedicated volunteers. And of course, we have our own national awards too. I know that Miss Geraldine Mason, for example, would have been awarded for her work in guiding and so on in Montserrat. Over the years. Those of you who are listening to us on radio, yes, we are bringing to you live commentary from Salem Park. Those of you who are watching us on the Government Information Unit will benefit from seeing the YouTube channel, see the parade marching through, going across by Rams. What an excellent view. The green vegetation, the green trees. Oh, what a lovely view. And I asking you, those who are listening on radio, not to envy those who are watching it on YouTube. There's nothing they can do.
They can do both,
Yes, it's excellent. And this is, all the children who were not able to cope with the heat here in the parade, they find a way to join the parade on the road. Look at that.
Yeah, those few who had to be taken off.
Yes.
They've rejoined.
Yes.
And they're enjoying themselves.
Marching over to the secondary school.
Yes.
Right. So and we compliment them.
Of course.
We compliment the leaders. Mistress Katrina Dare, who is the commissioner for the Girl Guides and the Brownies, and Mrs. Geraldine Mason, Mrs. Jeffers, and Nakita Braid. And so please do your best to keep these activities alive. We know that also the Adventists have thriving youth groups in the Pathfinders and so on, but just the issue of parading on a Saturday, that would certainly interrupt their Sabbath celebration.
Yes.
But when we do have any other activity, if it's on Monday or Remembrance Day parade, they participate in full. And that, again, we wish to compliment everyone. And I want to also highlight the work that was done by the organizing committee for this event. I know that to say they start sitting together since January. They come together once they know whatever funding is available, and they put together the program to keep this activity alive. And James, I know you're the one who would deal with the media part, because I heard that you called my name. I said you already have Peter White reserved for commentary. But you know me, I serve in
any capacity.
Yes. So those of you who are listening to us on radio, again, I say you're not missing anything. The troops are going around that corner by Rams there. That famous Nancy's River. Yes, they're going around there and making their way. So over
to the secondary school, MSS.
And the reason why they're not going to the police station as normal, because the police station is closed for minor repairs, and they're not going to the Salem Old Primary School, because that too is undergoing repairs, and it's pretty much a construction site.
Yeah.
So they all agreed that they will do just a few more steps extra by going to the next available government property.
I know you said a few.
Yes.
But it's more than a few.
Over to the Montserrat Secondary School. Yes. Okay, so again, I want to come back to the issue. I'm really passionate about this, the issue of our young people and they've been occupied in meaningful activities.
Yes.
So that's why I commend the cadet program, started back in 1936.